Hey there, this is Shreya TV and here I talk about everyday psychology that you can use not only in your work but your life in general. I started a chat show about a month and a half back and it's called Conversations with Shreya. And here I interview inspiring individuals who are all working professionals in different industries, and I'm talking about their stories. We're chatting, discussing their stories of how they became leaders and masters, but more importantly, they are sharing their stories of courage to lead and sustain despite so many odds, because of course all of us go through so many struggles in life. So they're sharing their struggles, they're being open and honest about why they are wherever they are, and it's so interesting to sit and listen to all these people. But the reason why I started Conversations with Shreya is because all these years, whenever I've been really low and down in dumps for whatever reason, whether it's my relationships or just work, bad days at work, or pure demotivation, that nothing is striking me, no motivation is striking me. So in those days I remember I would, and I still do, I would just start typing for interviews, and I would sit there and watch these fascinating people, some more famous than the other, whoever, but they sit there and I watch them share their stories of how are they going on, what makes them go forward. I hear them, I listen to them about what makes them a master in their field, what makes them an expert. And I need to tell you that these interviews and these virtual mentors that I have found all these years have really become my saviors in so many incidents and moments where I had nobody to go to, and the only people out there for me were these virtual mentors. And I thought maybe it's time for me to give it back, because I have learned so much from the experiences and learnings of other people. I thought it's time for me also to kind of do that in some way or the other. In today's episode I want to talk about the top 5 interviews that have changed my life. And honestly, it was quite a struggle to pick and choose, because I binge watch interviews when people are on weekends, when people are just chilling out, enjoying with friends or family. I am binge watching interviews. So I have watched quite a lot of interviews in the last few years, and I had a hard time finding the best ones, but I hope I've done justice, and the links of all these interviews are in the description box, and I really would love for you to watch each and every one of them. So here they are. So the first interview is actually a series of mini interviews that Oprah Winfrey does on Super Soul Sunday, and one guest she invited was Dr. Brené Brown, and I am in love with the work Dr. Brené Brown does and the way she talks about the work. It's pure inspiration. So the first interview that I want to talk about is where she discusses how how exhausting it is to be fake, and how liberating it is to be authentic in any time, whether you're sitting in a group of people and you have no clue what they're talking about. So in those moments, what should you do? Should you just be fake and kind of hey smile and make your presence felt, or should you be really open, honest, authentic, and tell them about, hey, you know what, I have no idea what you're talking about. So it's a beautiful, very short interview, a snippet of the longer interview where she's talking about being authentic and how liberating it is, and she's talking about perfectionism, and she's sharing some fascinating traits of people who follow perfectionism to the T, and who are these people and what happens to them and why are they sticking to that perfectionism. It's awesome, you should watch that. The other link of Dr. Brené Brown with Oprah is where she's talking about joy, and in that interview she's talking about, in her research for all the years she's done, she's met some people who have truly experienced joy. She's talking about what makes people truly be joyous and what are the things that you need to do to really embrace joy, and that is another beautiful interview that you must watch. The second inspiring interview that I loved watching was of Will Smith interviewing Barack Obama. First of all, Barack Obama is a wonderful human being, and there's some strange warmth and a charm in him that makes you feel that you know him, like, and he's known you for so many years, so it's beautiful how he does that. So of course, you know, he's such a lovely human being, because of which you end up enjoying whatever he speaks and talks about, because his values resonate with a lot of good people. But in this interview, he is talking about something so powerful, which is how we need to stretch our morals. And he's talking about, you know, while we all talk big about, hey, I'm open and I love experiencing, but then in the same second we are all kind of stuck to our cultures, to our religions, to our faiths, to our beliefs, to what we think we are, the color of the skin. It's interesting, he says that, you know, how we are inhibiting ourselves from growth and progress, and to live life truly, we really need to be empathetic and kind of understand the variety of people who exist in this world. So it's another beautiful perspective of life, and if we kind of follow a little bit of what Barack Obama talks about in the interview, I think we can live a fulfilling life. So I highly recommend you watch that interview. The third on my list is again Oprah Winfrey interviewing Lady Gaga. This is one of her recent interviews where she's on a Vision 2020 tours, and she's kind of interviewing all the visionaries of the world. And I honestly did not intend to watch this interview. A few days back, I was really down in dumps because of something, and again I did something that I always do. I opened my laptop, I started typing, and then Oprah Winfrey suddenly pops up on my screen with Lady Gaga. And honestly, Lady Gaga's pink hair attracted me, and I just thought, should I watch it, should I not? So I was contemplating, and I just clicked the button, and I cannot be more thankful to myself for having watched that interview, because I highly recommend you watch it. In this interview, Lady Gaga talks about not her stardom, not her peaks, not her highs, but she is focusing on something that is so crucial in times of today, which is mental health awareness. She is as open and vulnerable as you would ever find her, and in that interview she talks about her own depression, how she was clinically depressed, and in those and she's talking about that journey of being depressed and how she came out of it, and she's describing even the therapies that she took to come out of it, and what that therapy or going through those sessions has done for her, and the kind of human being she's becoming after embracing who she is, and after accepting that yes, she's mentally ill, and she fixed it, and now she has so much more I think love, encouragement, respect for herself, and that is a pump up interview. I highly recommend you watch that interview, and also share it and spread it with whoever you think is going through some sort of a mental trauma. It's a wonderful interview. The fourth interview on my list is Tom Bilyeu interviewing David Goggins. I challenge you to sit and watch that interview, especially when you're really hurt, demotivated, upset, depressed, and if that interview does not pop you from your chair, if it does not move you, you have to write back to me, because that is exactly what that interview did to me. When I started hearing David Goggins talk about of not only his journey and how he's developed all that grit, not only physical strength but the mental strength, at one point I literally popped up from my chair and I said, whoa, I mean, I have experienced this, I can do this. He charges you up, he gives you so much energy and power. He's literally throwing power at you. And if in that moment you are not able to accept and take that power, you're really losing out on a lot. So that is a beautiful interview. There are so many things I have loved watching in that interview, but one thing that struck with me and resonated so deeply was a thought that he shared with all of us, that it is really, really important to suffer to experience extraordinary results. And that is one interview that is going to stir your soul, so I encourage you to go and watch that interview now. The last but no way the least on my list of inspiring interviews is the one of Elizabeth Gilbert with Marie Forleo. And if there's one interview that has changed my life and that has changed the way I see things and that has truly moved me, I don't know why, I think this is the interview. It is a long 48-minute long interview, but oh, I remember there was a huge low and dump that I was going through in my life once, and I just happened to watch that interview. I was tearing almost all throughout when I heard, because that is one of the few interviews that keeps getting better as you watch them. It is pure brilliance, where Elizabeth Gilbert talks about fear and the way she defines fear and describes it. After hearing that definition, I changed my definition of fear, and I have never gone back to the stereotypical old school way of looking at fear like so many people do. I have genuinely started understanding and embracing fear only and only after watching that video. And there are so many things that she talks about in that interview that I don't want to release right yet. She talks about being creative, and she talks about how people are so inhibited and why so inhibited. And again, she's talking about what you do in those times when you're really not motivated to do your work. Should you be going ahead and doing that work, or should you give up? So that interview at multiple levels has improved my life. That was one interview that I ended up watching 4 to 5 times. Okay, so that sums up my top 5 interview list, and I really hope you're going to go ahead and watch each one of them, because I've really taken some time and effort to find these interviews for you. And once you start watching them, you will start getting related recommendation lists, and you will just realize that you are on a self-help journey without even knowing that you are. So if you liked this video, you have to show that to me by not only liking this video but also subscribe to my channel, because I want to be motivated as well. I want to know what you're liking on the channel, what content you're really enjoying, and also if you have some recommendations for me, some interviews that I should watch that are really inspiring, that change your life, I want you to tell me, share those links, because as I said, I'm a sucker for binge watching interviews, and I would love to watch them, and I will share my my learnings with you on that. So thank you so much for watching this episode. Take care.